Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Trekking the World 2nd Edition, published by Underdog Games. This is a 1 to 5 player game. We're going to be playing as a trekker, and you're going to be trying to have the best encounters while you travel throughout the world, have the best tours in the exotic locations, and collect the best souvenirs by the end of the game. You're going to be doing this until someone reaches the prerequisite number of tours, and the game is going to end. In a 2 to 3 player game, it's 5. In a 3 to 5 player game, it's going to be 4 tours. Now, you can increase that amount if you want to have a longer game, but for now, let's go ahead down the table. I'm going to show you how to play Trekking the World 2nd Edition, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. All right, so this is Trekking World, the 2nd edition. Welcome to Trekking World, where you and your friends have wonderful trips, visit fantastic destinations, and meet lovely people all over the globe. To win, you score points by taking tours and having encounters and collecting souvenirs. The person with the most points at the end of the game is going to win. Now, this 2nd edition, they have actually streamlined a lot of the rules and made a lot of the things simpler and cleaner and turns quick. So they've taken all the good stuff from the 1st edition and made it, brought it front and center for this edition. Setup for this game is significantly easier than in the 1st edition. Basically, all you're going to really need to do is you're going to need to give a player their board here, which is a dual layered board, which I really appreciate, their trekker token, this money counter, and airplane token. We're going to go over what those tokens mean in a second, but everyone's going to start out with that. They're not going to start out with any money, so the dial needs to be at 0. You're going to shuffle and deal out 4 of these cards here, and you're going to shuffle this deck. This deck here, it's a double-sided deck, so they're both sides. Just shuffle it with this side face up. Split the deck in half and then flip the other half over, and then put out 3 cards for each, leaving the top card exposed of each deck as you see. Also, this game comes with this wonderful tray here that will hold all the cubes that you need for the game and all of the tokens, and you just set that out there for everyone to be able to reach. And just as a note, this is a layout for a 4-player game. You can see the rules for other player counts, but this is set out for a 4-player game. Now, there's 3 main ways to score in this game before we go over what you do on your turn. The first way to score is going to be collecting tour cards. So you can collect these cards here, and they have a value here, which is how much the tour is going to cost, and points at the end. So this one here is going to be 6 money and 13 points at the end of the game. You can also occasionally get points, not all the time, through these encounter cards. So you're going to have some really cool flavor text about the location that you're at, and some of them are going to have end game scoring, some of them have immediate effects and whatnot, but this one here at the end of the game, you're going to get 8 points if you have 8 souvenirs of one color. All right. The other way that you're going to get points is you're going to get points by collecting souvenirs on this board here. So you're going to be placing these in your suitcase, and you're going to be looking here to see what you score for your points for that. And we'll go over that in a minute, but those are the 3 main goals that you're going for in the game. You're trying to take tours, have encounters, and get souvenirs. Those are 3 main ways of scoring. Now let's go into the game itself. To start the game, you're going to get the 1st player token, and that's going to be the youngest player, and you're going to go into clockwise order for your turns there. So what do you do on your turn? Well, on your turn, you're basically going to pick an itinerary. So at the start of the game, you can pick any airport that you want to go to, and the airports have that little blue airplane symbol, same inverse colors of your token here. And you'll pick one of these airports, and then you're going to pick an itinerary card here. So when you pick an itinerary card, a couple things happen. One is you're going to go from top to bottom. So this is going to be the number of moves that you have. So this will be the number of moves that you have. This is how much money you're going to collect out of your bank account. And this is going to be if you're in that location. So this one is green for South America. You can get a souvenir. So in the first edition, you would have to put these souvenirs all over the board, which lengthened the setup of the game. This I really do appreciate. This you're going to be more looking at your itinerary card to see if you can collect. Now, for your first turn is very important because you're going to be picking that airport. Now, airports are neat places on the board there that you can just move from one to any other one. Unlike the first edition where you had to start on an airport to fly to an airport, in this edition, if you move to an airport, you can then fly, but it does cost you $1. So we'll get into movement in a second, but I'm going to explain why you're moving. So you're trying to get to these locations here. So if you get to this location, you can have an encounter. So this one here, you're going to find on the map there. You can notice that this gives you a little handy dandy little picture here to help you out. But you go to the Pagan temples, then you're going to get this encounter. So you're going to end your turn there if you can, or you can try to double up. Like let's say I took that move 1, and I'm going to see if I can go to this location in Bolivia, and you'll notice that this here is going to take 2 movements. So if I started this airport, it'd be 1, 2, where this one only lets me move 1. So that one probably wouldn't be a great idea. You could also do this one here, which is in Australia here. I could try to reach that location. And you're going to want to do this so you can make the most out of your turns, or you're going to might look at money because you may want to end in these locations here to be able to take these tours here and be able to get these points. So you're going to want to, before you start the game, take a look at the initial setup and get your initial plan for where you're going to put your trekker to start. Now, unlike the first edition here, trekkers can be in the same space, so there's not going to be anyone blocking anything. But to go through here, if we take a movement card, let's say we're going to try, let's see what we can do here. It doesn't look like I can make it to any of the counters, but I can start gearing up for it. So I'm probably going to put my guy here to start, and they'll move on the board there. This is the first turn's the only turn you're going to pick an airport to go off of. And I'm going to pick this one. It's going to be a move 1, and I get 3 money. And since as long as I stay after my move, I might get a red cube. So I'm going to go ahead and move 1. I think I'm going to want, because there's 2 encounters up higher, so I think I'm going to want to move up here. So I get my 3 money now, so I completed my move, so I'm going to give myself 3 money. So now I'm at 3 money. And now since I'm in this blue region here, I'm going to get a red souvenir. And I put the red souvenir on here, and you'll notice that these actually have icons on here. So if you cover over these icons, you're going to get a token. So I'm going to get this token here. And we're going to go over these tokens now. So you can't use a token the same turn you get it, but in future turns you can use as many tokens as you want, as long as it wasn't the one you got on your turn. Now you get this really cool, handy player reference here that shows you your turn. Really straightforward. So you move, gain money, and if you're in the picture continent, you get your souvenirs. And then you're going to discard the itinerary card, but we're not there yet. So the different things here. So the airplane token, which is going to be the one you get at the beginning of the game, says before you take an itinerary, return the frequent flyer token from the current location to, and you can move from your current location to any airport for free. So it's sort of like a teleport, which is really cool. The movement one here, the red one, when you're making an itinerary move, return this move token to make 1 extra movement, which is really cool. Now, one thing in the game here I want to mention about movement is you have to complete the amount of movement that's on there. You can't double back or go back to where you were before. So if you take that 2 move, you have to move 2 spaces. This also helps out a lot with from the original game there where you had a hand of cards. So this mechanic is much, much better than the original game. Not that there was anything wrong with the original game one. This is just a upgrade from it. You can get the money token, which is the yellow token here. When gaining money from your itinerary, return the money token and get the same amount again. So basically doubling the amount. This one here, this black one for the cube on it, when gaining souvenirs from an itinerary, return the souvenir token to gain the same number and color of cubes again. So that can be very, very powerful. These tokens are amazing, and you want to work towards those. But that's going to be how this itinerary worked. I'm now going to discard the itinerary. It'll go up here. and then I will place a new one out here for the next player. However, we're not entirely done with our turn here. So if you look at the itinerary card here, you're going to take an encounter if available at your current location. So you're going to get your encounter here if I ended in one of these locations, and I didn't. But let's say, just for the sake of example, I did. So I would immediately, if I was there, I would gain this one. You can read out loud the flavor text here so everyone can learn more about that location, especially if you're playing with kids in the game. It's very good way to add immersion to the game and get them more invested in the game because they can hear about these cool places. And this one here, if any other player has more tours than you, gain 3 souvenirs of any one color. So this will be a one-time effect, and once I use this, it will get discarded, but it can stay in my area until then. But that's encounters. The other thing you can do is if you're at this exact location here, so if I ended up in this exact location and I had $6 on my turn, I could also take a tour. So I could take a tour and gain this card here and put it in my play area, and that would be available for points at the end of the game. Now, if you do take a tour or you do get an encounter at the end of your turn, you will replace these stuff. The same with the itinerary there too. Now, when will the game end? So we did set up for a 4-player game, so I'll mention that on the on someone getting your 4th tour, the game will end. But if you're playing with 2 to 3 players, which I didn't show you set up for that, but it's just as simple, you're going to go to your 5th tour in the game, and that'll trigger the game end. And what's going to happen at the game end is you're going to see who's the first player, and then you're going to make sure everyone had equal number of turns. So if the first player ended the game, everyone else would get a turn, and the game would end. But if the player to the right of the first player ended the game would just end then. So make sure everyone has the equal number of points and then or turns, and then you can score your points. So how do you score points? You're going to gain points from tours, which is going to be super simple. They're going to be the number there. You can gain points from encounters, like ones that have endgame scoring, so you add those up. And the game does come with this really cool notepad here that you can score on for everyone there. You just say, hey, how many travel points did you guys, or the tour points did you guys get? Add that up. How much encounter? And then you're going to add up your board. So how do you add up your board? Well, points from your suitcase, you get the points listed at the bottom of the rightmost filled vertical column of your suitcase. So let's say, I know this is going to, you'll be a lot farther along than this in the game for filling the souvenirs, but we're going to use this as an example. So I have a whole bunch of souvenirs here. What would my score be for this? Well, my score would be 5 points because this is the leftmost column here. Technically, sorry, rightmost column this way. That is completed, so I have 5 points. But if I would have got another red here, I would have ended with 10 points instead. And then you're going to add up all your points, and the person with the most points is going to win. In case of a tie, the player with the most money wins. If there's still a tie, the tied players share the victory. Now, a little subnote on here, 2 things I want to talk about. One is you can play with a longer game here. So if you want to play with a longer game here, you can go up to 6 tours. Sometimes that's something often you want to do with 2 players. You want to have those extra tours to be able to enjoy the game a little bit longer. The other thing is this game has an incredibly good solo mode. They put a lot of thought into the solo mode. There's these set of components here. You can set your difficulty in the game here. It has difficulty cards. And the rule book for the solo mode here is really well, I mean, the rule book for this game is really, really well done. But there's only 2 pages here, really. The first page is set up, and then here's your rule place and for this. You can discover this on your own, but know that if you're into solo games, this is a really great solo game version for this. So they did a really good job on that. Hats off to them for that. Now, one other thing I want to talk about real quick too is the component quality. The component quality for this game is amazing. The component quality for the original Trekking game was also really good. but they really hit it out of the park with this version also. Not only is the game easier to teach, more streamlined, and they just went to having it down to the fun of the game here, but this insert is amazing. Everything fits in this perfectly. It actually looks like there's room for maybe an expansion. We'll see. But this insert is really well done and really good. And I love this tray that you get to put all of your cubes in. Super easy. When you're done cleanup, you just have this lid here. You plop it on here, ready to go. Setup really fast for this game. So let's go ahead back up to the table here. And I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the second edition, Trekking the World. All right, so that was Trekking the World 2nd Edition. This game here is going to be a very much streamlined version of the original game. It's going to be much easier to teach, much easier to set up. So if you like the 1st edition, the concept of the game is still there. It's just more fluid. Your turns are much more snappier. You don't have to do as many fiddly things in the game. I really appreciate the fact that they removed some of the fiddly stuff, like putting all the cubes out on the board, all that stuff. That's all gone. That is great. Such a breeze to set up this game, and you can really just get into the fun really, really quickly. Component quality, again, insanely good in this game. Really great component quality, and art is phenomenal in this game. Nice and vibrant. It's really going to pull the kids into playing the game, and even the adults. I really love the little flavor text they put on the cards. Just overall, just really hit it out of the park. Really great. Gameplay for this game, super fast, super going to be super, I don't know what the proper word's going to be for this one, but when you take your turn, there's not going to be very little AP. You're going to have your options presented to you. You're going to have a general idea what you want to do, so your turns are really snappy. You're going to be limited to the less feel bad moments in the game. From the original, there's run out of cards and bad news bears. This game, there's always options available for you. There's going to be always something cool you can do. Like if you can't actually accomplish anything, gain more money. Or if you need to move that extra to get there, take the card and maybe gain a little less money. Get those encounters, really soup that up to get super awesome fun turns. And like I said, the fast turns is really a big thing, because when you take your turn, it's pretty much your turn again. That can be that quick. There's not going to be a lot of downtime in this game, especially if you're going to be playing with kids with this game. Although, again, this game is fine with adults too. But if you're going to play with kids with this game, you're going to want them to have snappy turns. Also, if you're playing with kids, I highly recommend reading the flavor text on there, because it keeps them engaged on your turn. You can see some of the cool places they went. You can make it really fun. So not only is this a really great game, but it also teaches you about the different locations on the Earth there. And helps children with geography, and adults, because a lot of adults don't even know where all of these places are in the world themselves. So that helps with that. Gets them more immersed into the game there, because it feels like when you're reading the flavor text, they're really talking about that part of the world, something really interesting in there. And I can't stress enough that a lot of times when you get into games that are like this, or they can help teach geography or help teach you about different locations and names and stuff, the games are really boring a lot of times, or very poorly designed. This is not. This is amazing. Really well designed, really engaging. So if you're looking for an educational game that isn't junk, this is the game for you. You could bring this into the classroom and keep people engaged in it. Just really well done game. So if you liked any of that, I really highly recommend picking up this game. It's actually not that expensive. It's really reasonably priced, and it is an amazing game. And that's my thoughts on it. So if you like our content, I really ask that you like and subscribe. That really, really helps us out a lot. But either way, I hope you all have a great day, and thank you for watching.